Marketplace Morning Report is coming up next, and then in 10 minutes at 9 o'clock, it's the BBC NewsHour on WNYC. Let's check in with London to see what they're working on. Hello, London.
Good morning, WNYC. I'm James Menendez. Today on NewsHour, a UN special advisor says there's a growing risk of genocide in the Sudanese region of Darfur. We'll hear from her and from those caught up in the fighting. Also, Paul McCartney roasts Bruce Springsteen as he presents him with a prestigious songwriting award. That's BBC NewsHour at 9 on WNYC.
73 and sunny on this Friday morning. Mostly sunny today and a high of 87. Then tonight, mostly clear and 65. And since it's going to be mostly clear, maybe the air will dry out at some point today. And then tomorrow and Sunday for this holiday weekend, sunshine and low 80s for our highs. We begin to cool off just a bit. Actually, on Memorial Day, we'll have some afternoon showers likely, some clouds, and a high temperature of just 72, so quite a retreat from what we've had this week. Right now, 73 and sunny. It's 8:52.
With new revenue for college athletes comes new pressure.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Palo Alto Networks. Palo Alto Networks delivers what's next in cybersecurity innovation to protect today's digital way of life. Learn more at paloaltonetworks.com. And by Amazon Business, helping provide a smarter, easier way to get the supplies businesses need to thrive. Amazon Business, your partner for smart business buying.
I'm David Brancaccio in New York. The NCAA, the governing body for college sports, and the 5 biggest athletic conferences have agreed to a landmark $2.8 billion settlement of a class action suit. If approved by a judge, it'll mean athletes can get paid by their schools. Here's Marketplace's Nova Safo.
The settlement would be paid out over 10 years to current and former student athletes as a form of back pay for earnings they'd been previously denied. Going forward, schools would be allowed to share revenues with student athletes, although the settlement stops short of declaring them employees of their respective institutions. The NCAA's president last year proposed a change that would allow schools to pay some of their athletes directly. That's still under consideration and is separate from the current settlement, which would benefit all athletes and requires direct revenue sharing with them. In its last fiscal year, the NCAA reported nearly $1.3 billion in revenues, a vast majority of it tied to broadcast rights and marketing deals. Its men's Division I basketball tournament was the top earner. The settlement resolves a case that was set to go to trial in January. I'm Nova Safo for Marketplace.
The ability to earn from playing college sports either by athletes signing their own licensing, marketing, and promotion deals, or under this proposed additional arrangement, schools paying players directly, brings with it new power for athletes. It also raises the stakes for athletes who want to speak out. After Florida and Alabama passed laws banning state campuses from spending money on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, some players are considering not playing for those institutions. Some in the civil rights group, the NAACP, called on black athletes to reconsider taking their talents to such campuses. This becomes a more complicated choice when more money flows to athletes. Marketplace's special correspondent Lee Hawkins is here with more. Hey, Lee.
Hey, good to see you, David.
Yes, indeed. I remember your piece for us the other week. It had the mayor of Birmingham, Alabama, making a similar call to black athletes not to attend predominantly white colleges in response to DEI restrictions. It's hard to measure, though, the cost of not attending one of these big schools.
Yes, and it could be huge. I mean, in the case of the University of Alabama or comparable high-profile programs, it could be really steep. I mean, the school produced a whopping 10 athletes into the NFL draft this year, and playing at that level is almost viewed as a ticket to the NFL for elite players. Now, on the converse, if this were to take hold among black athletes, it could have implications for Division I schools because black male athletes in the big revenue sports of football and basketball represent 45% of the football players and 51% of the basketball players.
I mean, this recalls previous generations, right? Muhammad Ali, one of the athletes who must have left so much money on the table because of his activism. But now we have this NIL name, image, and likeness deals for college players through the NCAA. And contemporary college athletes have also a lot of potential losses if they follow their conscience or speak out or engage in activism like this.
Exactly. The game has changed, no pun intended. I mean, NIL deals are now part of the equation. The stakes are so much higher. And before NIL deals, there were always concern before the pro draft, of course. So athletes have always been concerned about it, but now we're seeing high school athletes thinking very intentionally about the capitalism side of this.
So here's the NAACP now looking for young people to be more aware, cognizant. But the question is, do they have the clout to influence behavior? I think you called them.
I did. I spoke to Trovon Williams, who is the senior vice president of marketing, about the marketing of the NAACP and whether they can be relevant to students of today. And here's what he had to say.
The progress of this organization, the relevance of this organization is built on us building platform for young Gen Z millennial audiences to be able to not just be talked to. They are the ones who are coming to the table and helping us to collaborate around the efforts that the association needs to be advocating on behalf of.
And David, I just spoke with the NAACP again, and they say they have a meeting scheduled in the coming weeks with the NCAA to discuss this.
Marketplace Special Correspondent Lee Hawkins, thank you.
Thank you so much, David.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by C3 Generative AI. Verified, traceable answers, secure, hallucination-free, LLM agnostic, IP liability-free. Learn more at c3.ai. And by Million Bazillion, a podcast from Marketplace that makes it fun and easy for parents to teach their kids about money. Listen to Million Bazillion wherever you get your podcasts.
Delicate question. Are you working on this Friday before a holiday? Did you inform the boss you're officially off or just letting it slide? A Harris poll finds while workers are not taking advantage of their vacation days, we do find other ways to unofficially unplug. Marketplace's Elizabeth Troval has more.
Americans are kind of bad at taking vacation, especially younger workers. More than 80% of millennials and Gen Z say they're not taking their allotted PTO, says Libby Rodney with the Harris poll.
Yeah, you'd think they would be taking all their time off based on the work-life balance that they desire, but there's definitely a tension when it comes to the reality of being at work.
Though some young workers are still carving out downtime.
They're just quiet vacationing instead.
Like taking time off without telling their bosses. They're also
moving their mouths to seem active or online.
This shows many workers are feeling pressure to be constantly on, says Ann Skeet, a professor of leadership ethics at Santa Clara University. So they're making a rationalization.
If I'm going to be overworked and working beyond regular hours and on weekends, then at a minimum, I'm going to have some flexibility in my day where I'm deciding when I'm working and the nature of the work.
Skeet says taking PTO shouldn't just be policy, but part of company culture. I'm Elizabeth Troval for Marketplace.
Markets, S&P and NASDAQ futures are up 0.3%, Dow futures up 0.2%. Year so far, the S&P 500 is up about 13% going into this last trading day before Memorial Day. In New York, I'm David Brancaccio. Marketplace Morning Report from APM, American Public Media.